Hey guys, Crypto G in for another session of facts and stats. Today has been a bag of mixed emotions for the Boomerang community, with a long overdue launch of the new bot contract on the Polygon mainnet a few hours ago, the unlisted OX28 contract. Sadly, not the OX461 I covered in the last video, so today I'm going to rectify that. Well, one can't be right all the time, and to be fair, Chavez has been deploying redundant contracts at a rate of knots from multiple wallets in an attempt to deflect prying eyes. A clever tactic indeed. But then, apparently he's a genius. However, I would argue it doesn't take a genius to know that if you take ownership of $150 million from 86,000 people on the promise of huge returns, make them wait 4 to 6 months, and then post a countdown clock, that a tsunami of potential demand on the network will likely occur. And like a DDoS attack on the Polygon network, the Boomerangers' excitement couldn't be contained, and Chavez triumphantly claimed that they had broken it. Or at least, so the story goes. The daily transaction chart on Polygon, however, doesn't really support this, and the transaction count pales in significance to the peaks seen back in January, which wouldn't have been from the 20 transactions a week the beta version put on Polygon back then, and sits well under the demand seen during the bull run in 2021. Interestingly though, the OX28 contract did pop into the hot contract list briefly and topped the gas guzzler list, a fee paid by the user wallet despite Chavez previously telling everyone publicly that the community would be saving on gas by aggregating the arbitrage with the new system. It seems he can say anything he likes without recourse, and the community humbly kneel as if in an awe-induced hypnotic state. But remember the bold claims that this is going to be a seamless, disruptive technology? Disruptive it may be, but not in the way it is touted. Anyway, enough of the obvious. Let's dive into the back end again and see what is afoot. Before that though, let's do the housekeeping. I am not a financial advisor, and this video should be used for educational and entertainment purposes only. You must seek professional advice before making any investment in the digital or the traditional financial space, as there is a risk of partial or total loss. Make sure that you do your research, make sure you try to self-custody your assets at all times, and remember that the information in this video may well be out of date by the time you get to see this. So, let's look at this OX28 MVP boom contract and run through a successful trade or two. Okay, are you ready? Line 1 shows the FlashLoan call for 0.017 wrapped Ethereum, which is then swapped through the UNISwap router for 59.91 USDC in lines 2 and 3. That USDC is then swapped for 59.94 USDT in lines 4 and 5. Lines 6 and 7 then show an interaction between the OX28 boom contract and a wallet of significance that I have tagged as X3 Boom, one of several contracts that make up the X Boom series, which I will explain in more detail shortly, and is where the USDT is exchanged for 105.42 wrappedMATIC. The next 4 lines show 2 swaps through the UNI Router using the same wrappedMATIC USDT pool as shown, where 105.42 wrappedMATIC is swapped to USDT and then swapped back to only 105.3 wrappedMATIC, in what is essentially a pointless and wasteful interaction that loses a small amount of wrappedMATIC. Lines 12 and 13 then swap the remaining wrappedMATIC for 0.0171 wrappedETH, followed by the payment out of the OX28 boom contract to the user for 8 cents worth of wrappedETH in line 14. And the last line is, as in previous iterations, just the FlashLoan repayment to Aave plus fee. Fairly straightforward so far, and to the untrained eye actually appears to make a profit of 8 cents when you use a variant of the kernel's formula and deduct the FlashLoan repayment in the last line from the amount of wrappedETH in line 12. But let's look back more closely at lines 6 and 7 and see what this XBoom contract series are up to. As this is the paraphemelian and is where a fake profit is actually created, let me show you. Essentially, there are 5 XBoom contracts that I've found, one for each token pair currently traded. This one, X3 Boom, is specifically for wMATIC and USDT trades. And when we look at the interaction list in dbank, we can see it is just a transfer contract inserted into the 0x28 Boom bot that simply swaps one token for the other. But notice that the swap value is skewed, with an inflated dollar value of the end asset, in this case wMATIC, being transferred back to the 0x28 contract, creating by design the appearance of a profit in a complex set of token transfers. Almost impossible to spot without the addresses labelled and a good understanding of how to read the blockchain data. Having recognised this, I then went on the search for where the liquidity for these inflated swaps was coming from. Enter Sandman and Mr. Camelot, who has been active for 804 days since April 2022. Here you can clearly see significant amounts of assets being manually sent to the XBoom series of contracts, as this is a standard wallet, not a contract. You will need to tag and bookmark this one, Admiral. This is a pattern of liquidity transfer that we have seen and discussed before when analysing the previous iterations of the Boomer contract. If you haven't seen these, then I suggest you watch the Busted and Boomerfish videos I did earlier this year for more details on this. And of course subscribe and like so you can revisit these later with ease. I also suggest that if you still haven't achieved enlightenment and have any genuine concerns about exposing others to this questionable project, that you keep a close eye and bookmark this wallet address OXD25 for closer inspection over the coming weeks, as real arbitrage trading doesn't require a regular stipend or standing order transfer. However, it does need a complex and high-speed market price data feed from an oracle or aggregator such as Chainlink, of which I can find no evidence of in the back-end coding. And it will be interesting to see what the front-end script shows us when the kernel pulls his finger out. No doubt there will be some interesting arrays to ponder. So that's about it from me. You've likely hit your limit of concentration. My hope is that you haven't rushed off into the land of Lambos and Gucci handbags, where the bulldogs all have rubber teeth and the hens lay soft-boiled eggs. Crypto G out.